Welcome back to New Rockstars, I'm Erik Voss, and the biggest mystery from the latest Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness trailer is the identity of this glowing armored figure who battles Wanda Maximoff in the multiversal citadel that looks pretty familiar. In fact, a lot like a certain museum in London where I got a pamphlet about the Parthenon that they apparently colonized that helped me understand Killmonger's anti-museum rant a lot better. But between this British museum set and what we know about this mystery figure and the Illuminati nature of the people who run this facility, I have realized one possibility that the more I think about it actually makes more and more sense and could connect this movie with Marvel's bigger plans for the events ahead. So I will pose to you the question, are the Illuminati in the Multiverse of Madness and the TVA of the Kang variant He Who Remains linked? Before you say no and move on, hear me out. And thanks to Boxu for sponsoring this video, more on them later. The story for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was written by Loki head writer Michael Waldron, collaborating with director Sam Raimi. And when it comes to the multiversal aspects of this story, you can certainly sense the DNA of the Loki series coursing through it. Both stories are about MCU rule breakers who violated the laws of reality in the Avengers Infinity War / Endgame events, who are now dragged before a cryptic legal authority who tower over the cuffed defendants, each from a pompous dais within an illustrious ethereal facility lined with mysterious statues. Both stories then enlist the defendant to solve an apocalyptic threat that pits them against a parallel female rule breaker unfairly villainized for her actions, all while the hero has to deal with infinite variants of himself. I mean, even the dialogue is pretty similar.
The variant we're hunting is you.
The greatest threat to our universe is you.
Now, you could just cynically see this as Marvel recycling a formula that worked for them on Disney+, but I don't think Michael Waldron, a Rick and Morty writer who is clearly pulling from that show's Council of Rick storyline, I don't think the guy would be that redundant for a Marvel film that came out within a year. I also don't think Marvel Studios would be that obvious about it by accident either. I think these parallels between Multiverse of Madness and Loki are an intentional clue for what this MCU Illuminati really is, the multiversal rival and perhaps the predecessor to Kang's empire. So let's quickly take another look at that mystery figure from the trailer. Every close-up we can make out of this person is that it is clearly a person of color. And based on their power set, I have theorized it could be Photon from an alternate reality where she is the Captain Marvel equivalent, either Monica Rambeau or her mother Maria Rambeau. Now, to be clear, in addition to that, I strongly suspect Superior Iron Man is still gonna factor into this story and might even participate in this battle. But you just cannot tell me that this is the face of Tom Cruise or whoever this movie cast as an Iron Man variant. And the alternate shots in the online trailer and the TV spot just don't look different enough to tell me that this is not a person of color. However, many online have begun to make the case that this could actually be Jonathan Majors, or another actor playing a younger Nathaniel Richards, the 31st century engineer who becomes Kang the Conqueror, and whose younger form suits up in advanced Iron Man tech to become the young Avenger Iron Lad. Now, to be honest, I think this figure has more pronounced hips, more likely to be one of the Rambeaus, but the VFX is still being refined. Now, whether you think this figure's technology looks more Kree-derived or more Stark-derived, there is an equal case to be made for both figures to join the ranks of the Illuminati in this movie. Marvel's Illuminati is a secret alliance of leaders from each corner of the Marvel world. Tony Stark representing the Avengers and Mankind, Charles Xavier representing mutant kind, Doctor Strange, the Sorcerers and the Mystics, Reed Richards, the Fantastic Four and the scientific community, Black Bolt, the Inhumans, which were Kree genetic experiments, and Namor, the people of Atlantis. Now, this lineup in the movie may very well just include past screen versions of Reed Richards and Black Bolt, the way they cast Patrick Stewart to return as Professor X, but if not, there is an opportunity here to give the seats to another multiversal champion with Kree-derived powers and another scientist from the Richards family line. Nathaniel Richards is Reed Richards' descendant. Now, while I am hunting for these missable details, I often find myself in need of a little snack to keep me moving forward. Well, you can take your snacking on an international adventure with our friends at Boxu. Boxu is a monthly subscription service that delivers premium Japanese snacks and tea pairings straight from Japan to your door. Boxu partners with family-owned snack makers to make their original treats. The first Boxu you get is called Seasons of Japan, and it lets you taste the seasonal flavors popular in Japan. Every month after that, you receive a different themed box, like this one is called Spring Observe. This is the first time I've gotten this one, so I'm super excited to try them out. You can see it comes just stuffed with all these great different snack options. You get these little like Rice Krispie things. I'm gonna try one of these things. It looks like, I don't know, a little chocolate thing. Oh man. I'm gonna eat this whole thing. Well, it's like a chocolate covered like jelly middle. That's really good. So let's find out what that was. Each box comes with a booklet that tells you about the cultural theme and shares where all the snacks come from. That was a jelly chocolate yubari melon. It's a type of cantaloupe that is grown in Hokkaido. That's the northernmost island of Japan. So if you want to get some unique Japanese snacks, click the link in the description and use our code ROCKSTARS for $15 off your subscription. Orange pipes. Thanks, Baksu. Oh, nom 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 nom. Now, in the breakdown, I pointed out the parallels between the Citadel of the Illuminati and the Citadel of He Who Remains. Both run by men behind the curtain, using mechanized puppets to do their bidding. Both structures have lit towers and columns and 4 statues as you walk into the central chamber. And in He Who Remains Citadel, one of those 4 statues was destroyed. One of the most interesting production design details that we still don't have an answer for. To me, it suggested a past that He Who Remains still feels bitter over. Bitter enough to not ever sweep that up. Now, while the Illuminati Citadel is smooth and still intact, perfect masonry, He Who Remains Citadel is fractured, inspired by kintsugi pottery. One citadel aspiring to perfection, another citadel accepting chaos, picking up the pieces of that previous failure. Now, I know it seems like I'm reaching here, but some of y'all say that for my theories that end up being right, so screw it! There is 100% a connection between Professor X's Illuminati and Multiverse of Madness and Kang's TVA in Loki. One of these institutions inspired the other, one of these institutions is a response to the other. So I guess the question is, which came first, the Wiccan or the Kang? I kind of forced that. Now, I made the case in Inside Marvel that the Illuminati's reason for existing could be as a defensive measure against the Council of Kangs, one altruistic multiversal governing body to check the threat of a self-serving imperial dynasty. He Who Remains backstory made it look like he was the first scientist to discover multiversal technology and to use it, cooperating with his variant selves. Now, while those variants ended up going to war with each other, leaving He Who Remains alone in his citadel, he did warn Loki and Sylvie,
if you think I'm evil, just wait till you meet my variant.
You may hate the dictator, but something far worse is gonna fill that void if you depose him.
confirming that there were still other Kangs out there. And indeed, a new, more authoritarian Kang comes to power after He Who Remains is deposed. However, if you rewind back to He Who Remains' backstory, before the conflict, there was an era of cooperation, and at least one past idealistic Nathaniel Richards with high hopes for multiversal peace and order. In fact, He Who Remains even lamented, hinting at his past trials and errors before he eventually arrived at the TVA.
I've lived a million lifetimes.
This is the only way. TVA, it works.
His TVA works because He Who Remains knows from a past variant who tried to make a perfect ideal of this authority that a transparent oligarchic version does not work. The Illuminati is destined to fail, and only a TVA made from the literal broken pieces of that institution, a dictatorship that cloaks itself in endless layers of bureaucratic red tape, can get the job done. Now you may be thinking, wait. Didn't Loki happen before Multiverse of Madness? I mean, that's the order it's all gonna be on Disney Plus, right? Well, no, my friends. The Citadel at the end of time, and I suspect the Illuminati HQ as well, both of these exist outside the normal linear flow of time. So who knows what caused what? But to He Who Remains, all of time is unfolding all at once. So everything he said to Loki and Sylvie was steeped in the knowledge of what is about to happen in Multiverse of Madness. And I cannot wait to learn that this dude found Doctor Strange's broken watch in a pile of rubble and decided to name it Miss Minutes. If that nonsense didn't immediately make you hate me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. You can follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Thank you so much for watching. And by the way, when it comes to museums, I love museums, but you know, Indiana Jones' line that belongs in a museum, it really belongs where you found it. So let me pitch you on my Indiana Jones spec script where Short Round follows Indy's dying wish to return all the relics back to the temples where they found them. So we open on a Cambodian temple, 1971. Hey, wait, where are you going?